Hello and welcome to another episode of WVU Extension Today. I'm your host, Zach Harold, coming to you from my still decorated living room. Dr. Christopher Pham from WVU Medicine is here to talk to us about some common sleep disorders, debunk a few common sleep myths, and give us his top tips for a good night's rest.
Usually a joke in sleep medicine is that we evaluate people who sleep too much, who sleep too little, or who do weird things in their sleep. I'm Dr. Christopher Pham. I'm an assistant professor at WVU Medicine. I'm also the associate program director at the Sleep Medicine Fellowship Program here. And I'm also the sleep lab director at the Fairmont Sleep Clinic. There's a few things that can cause you to do weird things. Some of them can be medically related, or sometimes it could just be normal things that actually most people experience or exhibit that we didn't realize is actually a pretty normal process of sleeping. But sometimes people will scream out in their sleep. They may reenact their dreams. Sometimes they may sleepwalk and don't realize it. And so those all play a different role, functions of different types of sleep disorders. I would say the most common sleep disorder is insomnia. And so that means I have trouble falling asleep, I have trouble staying asleep. And so then we try to evaluate, is there an organic cause for this issue? Or could there be another behavioral issue that led to your insomnia? I always tell people, if you don't have resolved issues when you're awake, it bleeds into the nighttime. So having a lot of stressors definitely can cause you to have difficulty falling asleep. We need a pattern, and we need a rhythm of how we stay awake and how we fall asleep. Sometimes we forget that during this holiday season, where we try to focus on our children or focus on our family members, we forget about ourselves, and that can lead to a little bit hard time winding down to fall asleep. And then the other role is you recognize with the daylight, daylight is at a limit right now, and seasonal affect disorder or seasonal depression disorder is a real thing, and that correlates with light. And sometimes that plays a role with sleep too. A lot of times people feel sleepy or more sleepy in general. We all talk about snoring as being a sign, but actually it's the absence of snoring is the true sign. So meaning you hear the snoring and suddenly you hear a pause and the snoring picks back up. Now that's the apnea. Now there could be some brief moments where airflow does get through, so some gasping, choking in your sleep. That's another symptom. So some patients may tell me, I wake up with my heart racing too, and that's something could be alarming. It's like my anxiety really picked up for some reason. I don't know what it was. That could be from sleep apnea, that you're waking up that way. Some people may have dreams of drowning, choking. That could be another signifier. Waking up with a morning headache, and this headache usually gets better through the days. You get more wakefulness. Another big sign is daytime sleepiness, feeling like you have to take a nap every single day, waking up not feeling well rested. Usually those are the big telltale signs. One of them is how many hours of sleep do I need? Everybody talks about 7 to 8 hours, but that's on a big average. If you look at specifically, it's give or take 2 to 3 hours. Some people only need anywhere from maybe around 6 hours of sleep and they're perfectly fine. Other people may need like 9 to 10 hours of sleep. So we realize there's short sleepers, normal sleepers, and long sleepers, and that actually still can be normal for yourself. The second one is REM stage being considered deep sleep, and which is false, because we recognize there's more than that many stages of sleep. There's light sleep, deep sleep, and REM sleep. And the reason REM sleep is not considered deep sleep is because brain activity is much higher. It's almost equivalent to that of is you're awake. Actually, you shouldn't wake up somebody when they're sleepwalking. And sleepwalking occurs if your eyes are wide open too. And usually it occurs because you're actually in deep sleep. So we think that's kind of like your reptilian part of your brain taking over, meaning your reaction, your instinctual reaction just takes over. You shouldn't wake them up because then they're at higher risk of hurting themselves, especially falling and hurt your head. And so that's why usually you just want to gently coax them back to their room or back to a safe place. Number one thing is tell people consistent sleep schedule. It's a loaded, topic because you try to tell me fall asleep at the same time, but if I have insomnia, it's hard. But I usually tell people you can control when you wake up. So the wake up time is the most important thing. The second thing is to recognize what is your body's most preferred time to sleep. When you sleep matters too, because everyone has that circadian rhythm. And usually your hormones that gets secreted is based on your circadian rhythm. So recognizing the best times for you to sleep can matter too. Also try to keep in mind, typically it takes about 60 minutes to wind down before going to sleep. And it's a good time to start shutting down electronics. We do recognize in science that blue light is a very potent suppressor of melatonin. Now, I think any kind of light can suppress melatonin. And that's why I always usually tell people probably around 60 minutes is a good time to start winding down. And then the third thing is trying to get that morning light. Morning light really plays a good role. If you feel that right now there's not a lot of light out there, so using a light box or light therapy, it can be very advantageous. You can get that online. What you're looking for is something that's measured in lux. So about 10,000 lux is what you're looking for. So the next step is that you talk to your primary care provider, say like a referral, or if you get a direct referral, then you see a sleep doctor. And then what we usually do is try to identify, could we do a home sleep study or an in-lab study?
One of the keys to good sleep is a calm mind. 4-H Youth Development Agent Alex Kaufman is here to walk us through some exercises to calm ourselves during this hectic season.
My name's Alex Kaufman. I'm a WVU Extension Agent in Grant County, and I want you to join me for some wonderful ways to de-stress and breathe during the holiday season. First thing is first, we want to set the mood. Sometimes, holidays can get stressful and we just need a moment to ourselves. So breathing is a great way to reset quickly. You don't need a full yoga session. You don't need to change clothes. You can just find a quiet space for a few moments in your house and kind of relax and bring it back together. Feel calm and that peace of the season. So what I recommend, although it's not always easy to find a quiet corner of a busy house, I recommend finding someplace maybe a little dark, kind of cozy. Scents are a great way to calm. You can grab yourself a nice cozy drink. So here I am set up. I'm in a cross-legged position, but you're welcome to be kneeling or even sitting in a chair or wherever is most comfortable for you. And we're going to start off by just bringing awareness with some sound. So I have a chime bowl here. We'll also talk about a few alternatives. So we'll start us out with a sound with our chime bowl. And just focusing on that sound kind of brings us back to awareness. You're not thinking of anything else while you're listening to that chime. And if you don't have a chime bowl, I find you can grab a bell to kind of bring you in. This one's right off the tree. Just kind of a sound that brings you in, like, hey, I'm gonna start something here, bringing you into the center. What I want you now to do is we're gonna dive into some breath. So the first breath I want to do is a simple, just kind of deep breathing awareness. So basically we're just going to count our slower breaths. It's the easiest one to do. And we're going to hop in. We're going to do 5 breaths for the 5 golden rings. You can also turn this into the 12 breaths of Christmas if you wish. But we're going to do 5 to start out. So we're just going to breathe in, breathe out is 1. So let's try it together. Ready? Great job. You may feel yourself kind of automatically kind of sitting up more, maybe dropping your shoulders. You know, just notice things that are happening to your body. It doesn't take long to kind of reset with that stress. The next one is what I'm going to call gift box breath. Normally box breath, but if we're being festive. So this one is breathing up for 4, hold for 4, down for 4, hold for 4. So visually, we're creating a box, but we're doing that cycle. So we're gonna do a couple boxes, a couple gift boxes. So if you'll join me, so in, hold, out, hold. Try again, in, hold, out, hold. Great. So box breath is just a nice, even kind of awareness to your in breath, holding it, and out, so that not just cycling through quickly. Our last breath that I want to bring you is, we normally call it bunny breath, but since that is a little Easter season, we're going to go ahead and do a smell the dinner cooking breath. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to do 4 quick sniffs in, and then we're going to breathe out. This one is bringing a lot of oxygen to your brain, and so it's a way to kind of reset quickly, or if you feel like maybe you're just gonna cry, or you just need to get that breath in quickly, it's a good reset. So we're gonna breathe in, do it with me, so, and then out. Try again. Out. In, out. It kind of mimics when you're maybe crying. It's kind of what we naturally do anyway to fight for that oxygen. So it's a way to reset before you get to that point, and hopefully not needed during the holiday season, but it's a great way to kind of get that oxygen in and reset. Your tools for the season. We've got, setting a little mood and tension corner for a few minutes away and quiet. We have our 5 golden rings breath. We have our gift box breath. And we have the smell the cooking breath. I hope that this helps bring a little more peace and calm to your busy holiday season. And don't stop after the holidays. Keep taking moments to breathe and set your intention, and take some moments away just for you to have some deep breaths and calming.
This is also a good time of year to start setting some goals. 4-H Youth Development Agents Lisa Ingram and Jamie Mullins are here to help us visualize what we're going to do in the coming year and put those plans into action.
Hello, my name is Jamie Mullins, and I am the 4-H Extension Agent in Calhoun and Gilmer County.
And I'm Lisa Ingram. I'm the 4-H Extension Agent in Marshall County.
And we are here at the Mon County Extension Office today to share with you something we've really grown to enjoy, and it is this idea of vision boards. As we move into the new year, I think vision boards are definitely something to consider, because we all know, if we're being honest, we really enjoy making New Year's resolutions. But I don't really feel like we do a great job of keeping them. So we are going to today talk with you all about making vision boards. Before we really jump into this concept though, I think it's important that we talk a little bit about goals in general. Short-term goals, most people consider a month, a few months, some people even look at those as a year. Where the long-term goal may be something you hope to achieve within, say, the next 5 years. Lisa, have you thought about any goals you have for the new year?
I have, and I think one of my biggest goals is going to be to take a little more time for myself, focus a little more on my well-being, both physically, mentally, and emotionally.
For me, I was joking earlier about wanting to have more energy. And I know to have more energy, I need to take better care of my personal health. Vision boards are great for short goals, for those goals for a year. But if we're going to set these goals and want to be successful with them, it's a good idea to make sure they're smart. It'll be specific. It is something that is very direct. It's not something broad, but something that is more obtainable and easier to plan for because of how specific it is. Next, we have measurable, your M. Measurable allows you to really track your progress. So let's say your goal is to be more financially stable in the new year. If your goal is to save $1,000 in a safety net kind of fund by the end of the year, right? You can then track that $1,000. Attainable means you can realistically do this. Our R is relevant. So relevant means, is it something you care about? Is it relevant to your passion, to your career, to your values? And finally, is it time-based? So you set a goal. By when do you want to achieve it? After you've taken some time to set those goals, then is a good time to start on that actual vision board graphic. So Lisa, do you want to tell them a bit more about these vision boards?
I think one of the first things you need to remember is it is your vision board. So it's very important for it to be something that is eye-appealing to you, something that holds true meaning and value to yourself. We've actually got a selection of magazines and markers here that we're utilizing. A lot of times people prefer maybe to use actual photos, maybe of an activity that you're participating in and choosing to continue. So anything at all that you want to utilize to make this board your own, because if you throw it aside or put it in a desk drawer, it absolutely does no good. One of the quotes that I like to use with this is seeing is believing. When I wake up and I see this board once or multiple times a day, that triggers my brain to remember those goals that I've set for myself. So the other point of a vision board is wherever you place it, you want it to be somewhere that you are going to see routinely. A lot of people will take a snapshot of that, use it as a screensaver on their computer.
I like
put it
that.
on the front of their phone. I've actually seen several people do that.
We're going to have a lot of fun putting these together, but it doesn't have to be complicated. We've got, for those of you watching who may want to know some of what we're using, we've got paper. We did choose like a nicer, thicker paper to assure it was going to hold up. We've got all kinds of magazines. What is your interest? I love my words. At this point, all I have cut out is words and a single photo of money, y'all. Because right now, I think we could all focus on saving our money a little bit better. So we're going to take a moment and finish our boards here, and we'll check in with you in a little bit.
We've been working and we've been able to finish up our vision board. So again, thinking a little bit about some self-care in the upcoming year. We've used things like wellness, some exercise, taking some relaxing time to read a book, some quotes. I am awesome. Family is everything. How to love yourself is how you teach others to love you. So again, that kind of goes to my setting some boundaries and really looking forward to some of the quieter times in the upcoming year. Jamie, how about you?
I do want to start with kind of the center picture. It is actually a yellow light, and it says beside it, start stopping faster. And for me, that ties into this idea of those boundaries. When is it right for me to say no? Because I do think it's something I struggle with. I've got a couple of pieces on here that are health related. I'm a better parent when I take care of myself. It's a slow process, but quitting won't speed it up. So just reminding myself with those health goals that it takes effort, it takes time. The final piece I put on here talks about connecting. Connections are important. Many of us take pride in the fact that we're very independent. But for me, I want to focus on better developing that community around me. As you are working towards yours, again, as Lisa said, focus on those goals to begin with, right? Start with the end in mind. Look at those SMART goals, be specific, and then start putting it together. Because at the end of the day,
Seeing is believing.
4-H Youth Development Agent Margaret Miltenberger is here to teach us how to make a homemade potato soup with some other veggies thrown in. Let's check it out.
Hi, my name is Margaret Miltenberger, and I'm with the West Virginia University Mineral County Extension Service. I'm super excited to be here with you all today because I absolutely love soup, especially this time of year when it's cold and chilly outside. Soups are wonderful. They're a type of food that fills you up. They're cost efficient, they're easy to make, and you can make them with whatever ingredients you have on hand. As far as soups go, there are usually two different big categories. There's lots of different ways to look at it, but overall there's the broth soup and then there's a cream-based soup. We're going to make the cream-based soup potato soup because I think that's just a really popular one that lots of people like. And also, I think lots of times we're not sure about the white sauce. So we're going to learn about how to make a white sauce today with the cream-based soup. The next part we're going to jump into is the ingredients that are going to go into the cream soup that I'm going to make. And then we're going to learn about making a white sauce. So just to review the ingredients that you're going to need with this recipe. You're going to need 3 cups of chicken broth, 2 cups of milk, 1/4 a cup of flour, 1/4 a cup of butter, or you can use oil, and then about 2 cups of potatoes, but your vegetables can vary as to what you have on hand, and you can add different ones, and then salt and pepper to taste. If you're using a salted butter, then you probably really are going to need to add salt. So the vegetables that we're going to use today, it's a potato soup, but I like to add different things to potato soup. It's one of my mom's favorites, and she really likes mushrooms. So we're going to add some mushrooms to the potato soup. We're definitely going to use some onions, and then also I'm going to add some broccoli. I'd really like to use fresh broccoli, but I don't have it, so it's going to be frozen. And I encourage you to keep that in mind. Frozen vegetables can be great additions. Fresh vegetables are really nice too. So to start with, just a little bit on the chopping part, the potatoes you can peel them or you can just leave the skin on. If you're going to peel, this is one of the best types of peelers to have. And it's really, people say, oh, I don't like to peel potatoes. If you've got a good peeler, it is no problem to peel potatoes. So that's an example of how you can do that really pretty quickly. I'll normally do that over the sink. In this case, I've decided I want to leave the skins on because that's what we like. And also the skins are really nutrient dense and have to add some good fiber and good nutrition. So when you're chopping potato, you want to make sure the knife goes straight to the board. Then I put it on the side. Go down several cuts. And sometimes people are like, oh, the chopping takes so long. It does not have to take long if you practice. As you can see this right now, we need about 2 cups of potatoes. And this is, in under 30 seconds, we've got about half of that. So these are the potatoes that we're going to add in. Onions is the same way. Reminder on the onions is that cut them in half first, and you want to get them flat. If they're flat like that, then you're not going to cut yourself, which is really important. So then I'm going to make the cuts like so, and then chop them, and the onions go really, really quickly as well. Mushrooms the same way. Mushrooms really cook up and get pretty small, so all this would be necessary really is just, and you're not going to have to chop them any finer than that. The broccoli, like I said, about a little bit of broccoli here, it's frozen. I'm just kind of letting it thaw out. Next step is putting our broth together, and what we're going to do is I've got 2 cans of chicken broth. I'm just going to go ahead and pour that in. And I'm going to put my oven on about medium heat. And once it starts to simmer, you turn it down. I only have a can of chicken broth, and I need 1 more cup to make 3. So I'm going to use a cup of water. And then I have a chicken base, which this is really handy if you don't have chicken broth on hand, just to keep a dried chicken base on. And so a cup of water plus a tablespoon of the chicken base is going to give me that extra cup that I need for the soup. And then we chopped the vegetables earlier. I'm going to put in the potatoes and the mushrooms and the onions. The broccoli I'll just add closer to the end. And kind of stir that around a little bit to get it going. I like to put as many vegetables in as I have liquid. You know, you could do a little bit more, a little bit less, but you can see that the amount of vegetables kind of comes up to the level of the liquid. And so that, we could not add a white sauce, and we could just use this as the soup. You can add different flavor. At the end, I'll add some pepper. If you like to add dill, that's a really nice complement sometimes to potato soup. And you can experiment with other seasonings. You can add salt, but again, I'm not adding any because there's some in the chicken broth. Usually there's plenty. Low sodium is a good option as well. The next step is the white sauce, and this is my favorite part. We've got the vegetables back here simmering. It'll take about 20 minutes, and so while that's simmering, I'll make the white sauce. So you can use oil. You just need some type of fat. I'm using butter because we like the flavor of butter, but if you're having to watch your saturated fat, you're going to want to use oil. So there's 1/4 cup of butter in there, and then we're going to add 1/4 cup of flour. Another one of my absolute favorite kitchen tools is this, and that's just to help get things nice and creamy. So what's happening here is I'm blending, and this is really important. You've got to get the flour blended well into whatever your fat is, in this case butter, because the fat molecules kind of have to trap the flour molecules, and it just needs to be really well blended into it. And then you're going to have a nice and creamy white sauce with it. And once that is blended up pretty good, I'm going to put the heat on probably about a medium. You need to watch it pretty closely. It's going to be ready. And you can see now that we've got it blended up here pretty well. Then we're going to use 2 cups of milk. I usually set the milk out a little bit because to keep us a little bit warmer. That doesn't take quite as long to heat up, so I'll set it out at the beginning. I don't add all the milk at once. I add about half of it, and then I'm going to stir this for a little while until it starts to get thick. You can see it is starting to bubble. If your heat is on high, you're going to have to really stir it constantly. But if you have it at lower heat, you might have to stir it all the time. But you really don't want this to stick. The milk can stick pretty easily. But now that it's bubbling, it's finished. That's all there is to a white sauce. So you melt your fat, you blend your flour in really good. You could use an alternative flour to wheat flour, depending upon what your allergies are. And that's it. And you just have to allow the milk to heat up in it, and it's ready to go. Now the vegetables on the back have been cooked, and they've cooked long enough, so I'm going to pull this up just a little bit closer so we can see. Add a little bit of broccoli closer to the end. And again, you could just do plain potato soup, no problem. But I think it's fun. We enjoy different things, and I thought it was kind of fun to do with this. So then the next step is going to be to pour in your white sauce, and that's going to help. That's going to give you a nice creamy soup. Then we can just simply blend that in. So to serve, you just need a nice scoop. And then to garnish it off, you could do a couple of different things. You could add a little bit of parsley to it if you want to garnish. And you could also add a little bit of cheese to it. And that's kind of up to you. If you're watching your saturated fat, I wouldn't add the cheese, but it just makes it really nice. So thank you all for joining me today, and I encourage you to try a wide variety of soups on the West Virginia University Extension Service website. We have links to lots of different recipes, and we're glad to share soup with you today. Thank you.
From everybody here at WVU Extension today, I hope each and every one of you have a wonderful new year. See you in 2023.